Hello, this video is about the Alternative for Deutschland, a political party that was founded in 2013. People have been saying that if a new coalition between the CDU and the SPD fails in Germany, maybe next time AfD will win on their own. I don't see it happening myself, but of course, you can't be sure about such things in politics. How's it going to play out over the next 5 years? And the AfD is an expression of the frustration within German society about excessive immigration, rising crime, economic stagnation, and so on. I think that they've reached their ceiling, but of course, I could be mistaken. Politics is not an exact science. So the AfD is often accused by Die Linke and the SPD of being racist and so on. But they'll say about anyone who wants to control immigration, and then Die Linke will say that CDU is fighting for the same voters with the AfD, and that's why the CDU is sounding like the AfD light. So anyway, they want the alternative to the other. Say we do have an alternative to mass immigration, to funding failed European Union states, to confrontation with Russia, and so on. Um, so they're a significant political party. They've got representation in 14 of the 16 states. So that's their slogan: "Zeit für Deutschland," time for Germany. And they want a sovereign Germany, as they say, but they don't propose withdrawing from the European Union. And they've often said they're more similar to the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom than they are to the Brexit Party. And that is not a comparison that flatters the Conservative and Unionist Party. They won't like that. Now, then overall, they're not anti-Islamic. They've not proposed outlawing Islam or the Quran or things like that. But some of their members have said distasteful things in public. They also want to forbid circumcision, seeing it as child abuse. Now, if you're a secularist, you could say that. Why should a child have a totally unnecessary operation? If you want to do this as an adult, that's fine, but you shouldn't perform unnecessary operations on the unconsenting. Now, the circumcision in Germany is almost exclusively for those who are Muslim or Jewish. And none of the coming on to Jews, not aware of them making any anti-Semitic statements as a party. There are individual members who've said questionable or even definitely anti-Semitic things. Some of them think that the Holocaust is overblown, or saying why are we banging on and on and on about this 80 years later to besmirch the German nation, to guilt trip us. You look at children in Germany today, their great grandparents were children at the time. Isn't it racist that they should be held somehow responsible for this? And this all was thrown at Germany to somehow shape what's happening. Now, by the way, it's definitely true that 6 million Jewish people were murdered by the Third Reich in those years, 1942 to 45, and several a million other people who were Jehovah's Witnesses or gays or Soviet prisoners of war are just civilians in occupied Poland or occupied Ukraine and so forth. Yeah, so I'm definitely not a Holocaust denier. I'm an affirmer. I know it's true. Anyway, and so what else? So they want to reduce welfare spending, and they do best in the most economically depressed areas of Germany, the former German Democratic Republic, in the east. So they somewhat grew out of Pegida, which was patriotic Europeans against the Islamization of Europe. Yeah, they're very strong in Saxony and Thuringia. Right. So they're anyway. Wider German society is worried about excessive immigration, but unlike the AfD, they don't say, "Well, let's have no immigration whatsoever," both legal and illegal. And obviously, there can be such thing as too much immigration, as there can be too little immigration. Perhaps they've got a bit of monomania about immigration as well. So they're led by a woman. I think the only political party led by a woman at the time, saying that they're telling the truth. They want to forge cordial relations with Russia. Perhaps ironic, as most of the older AfD voters would have been adults when East Germany had the Soviet military there. They say this is a new era. We just want the cheap oil and gas. What happens to Ukraine, we don't care. So they're definitely not warmongers. Do they have some sneaking regard for him? And they have sister relations with the Freiheitliche Partei Österreich and so on. I think it's very important that we don't go around calling people Nazis. That's like the boy who cried wolf. When a real party comes like that comes along, that is not taken seriously. Such accusations. So, although they've not said that they're going to outlaw Islam as such, it's symbols they do want to ban, like burqas, minarets, the azan, as in the call to prayer. And some of the delegates said Islam is not part of Germany. Well, there are a significant number of Germans who are Muslims. Often they're of Turkish origin. They're German citizens, so they've got as much right to practice their religion as anybody else. And I can't see any reasonable argument for banning the minaret. You don't like that architecture? Okay, it's not vernacular or something like that. It's certainly better than some of the architecture in Germany. And the azan, well, I mean, that's what we wouldn't ban church bells. We say, yeah, well, that's because Christianity's been in Germany for quite a long time. But they do appeal to some Islamophobic sentiment. So they're not advocating genocide or stripping citizenship from non-white German people or German Muslims and things like that. So a lot of people have been protesting against them. So as the economy improves, I think that they will become less popular. They say they want to keep German traditions alive, like poesy and so on. I don't know why these things have gone into declension. Right. So they say they're definitely not anti-Semitic and so on, and they don't want to mistreat Jewish citizens, but they do want to outlaw kosher butchering on the basis it's cruelty to animals. Um, because cruelty to animals is a crime, but why is there an exemption here? One law for all. As a secularist, they could say that. They don't particularly bang on about Christianity. That may be partly because where they're strongest in East Germany, church attendance is the lowest. But they could say, well, that's an essential part of our German identity. We have to big up that one. And incidentally, a lot of church leaders have denounced them. They're not promoting the brotherhood of man. So they say that they're really about German identity. They dislike multiculturalism. They were also against same-sex marriage coming in. Um, what else? Yeah, they're not really on board with third wave feminism. So yeah, they want capitalism, but they also want to really help small family-owned businesses, not corporations. Now they're anti-environmentalists. And economic populists who will just burn hydrocarbons as much as possible for cheaper energy. And I know there a lot of people around the world would believe that. So yeah, they just disbelieve the scientific evidence as proving that climate change is really happening. They're not too keen on the United States. Um, anyway, so they also think that Israel has gone way too far in Gaza. So yeah, that's it. Um, and I think they're distasteful, they're a little bit worrying, and there may be some anti-Semitic elements and so on in the party, racist elements in the party, but overall, no. Yeah, so that's them, but I think they won't go that much further. If prices come down, inflation comes down, if immigration is controlled, I think that their votes will drop. I don't think they'll disappear. I think there'll be a significant force in Germany for a generation to come. And the good news for them is they've got quite a few younger voters. If there are any geriatrics in that will die off in 20 years' time. Well, thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate to PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Goodbye.